Have you noticed that it's increasingly difficult to lose belly fat as you get older? There are exceptions, but across the board, if you look at the general population, the amount of belly fat increases. And even if you get into a calorific deficit and lose scale weight, the waist size might not go down as much. Why could that be? And are there ways in which you can increase loss of belly fat? Of course, if the aim is to not just lose scale weight but also become healthier, this is extremely important because visceral fat, which is the fat accumulated inside your organs, underneath the belly, around the abdomen, is the biggest cause of metabolic diseases like fatty liver, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, kidney disease, heart disease, raised blood pressure, and chronic inflammatory conditions like atherosclerosis. Therefore, how to reduce visceral fat is extremely important. I'm Dr. Rawat, an Indian origin, England trained, Canada based family physician who additionally studied nutrition at Harvard and founded healthgroupcoaching.com, through which I run a virtual as well as in person group coaching program for weight loss and reversal of metabolic disease. I've made almost 500 videos now, and in most of my videos, you'll have heard me talk about calorie balance, energy balance, the need to develop an energy deficit. Energy balance and calories in, calories out is still the fundamental base of weight loss. However, for reduction in visceral fat, you do need to pay attention to non-calorific factors as well. What you can describe as hormonal factors. Because having less calories coming in, more calories being expended is one thing, but instructing your body as to where those calories need to go, where they need to be burned from, is equally important. And a lot of those clients who see their arms and legs shrinking and their belly fat staying the same may well be in a calorific balance or calorific deficit, but not in a hormonal balance. They're not in an optimal hormonal state to allow for fat burning. And so in this video, unlike many of my other videos, while we will appreciate that energy balance is important, calories in and calories out is the law of thermodynamics, we will talk more about the hormonal factors which can make you gain more belly fat and what you can do to reverse this. There are two particular hormones we need to think about. One is the stress hormone cortisol, which promotes belly fat, and second is the nutrient sensing hormone insulin, which also has growth hormone-like properties. Cortisol and stress hormone can be raised because of a variety of causes, but the most important two are sleep disturbance and chronic stress. Obese clients are also particularly predisposed to a condition called obstructive sleep apnea. This is when they snore at night and have disturbed sleep. They may realize this or they might not, but often they are choking themselves in their sleep and not getting into deep sleep, which is problematic because they can get into a restorative REM4 sleep. As a result, the body is under stress, cortisol hormone goes up, blood pressure often goes up as well. The best thing you can do here is speak to your physician and get a sleep test arranged. Treat the sleep apnea effectively if that's there. Because reducing cortisol will be very important for reducing blood pressure as well as reducing your tendency towards belly fat accumulation, because cortisol directly increases belly fat storage. The other thing which can increase belly fat storage is chronic stress. There are questionnaires you can complete online, including the GAD-7 questionnaire and the PHQ-9 questionnaire for screening of anxiety and depression. If it appears that you may be suffering from these conditions, then it may be worthwhile to speak to your physician or a psychologist and learn how to manage this. Chronic stress will lead again to chronic rises in chronic stress hormones like cortisol, and that will also impede not just in weight loss, but in losing weight from where you really want to lose weight, i.e. from around the belly, from your visceral fat stores. All people who are on a weight loss journey should consider getting a blood test done to check other hormones like thyroid, etc. as well, to make sure you're not getting impeded by that. Even vitamin deficiencies like iron, B12, vitamin D, etc. could be slowing down your metabolism and impeding your progress. So ensure you get all of these things checked. The second hormone we need to talk about is insulin. Insulin is our body's nutrient sensing and fat storage hormone. also has growth hormone-like effects. Chronic rises in insulin, as happens with clients who have insulin resistance, and this can be also found out through a blood test, will have more tendency towards storing belly fat. In fact, studies of the weight loss drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, have found that clients with insulin resistance, so those with prediabetes, diabetes, type 2, would lose weight at on average half the rate as clients without insulin resistance. So having chronically high insulin level does impede in weight loss. There are a few ways in which insulin levels can be lowered. One would be through intermittent fasting. I recommend a certain pattern of fasting called ETRF, or early time restricted feeding. This is also described as circadian fasting, or fasting in line with your natural day-night hormone cycles, essentially focusing on consuming more calories earlier in the day and avoiding excessive calories and also particularly excessive carbs later in the day, so as to have more efficient energy management within your body. Every second, your body's cells have to make split-second decisions whether the calories which are coming in need to be stored or utilized. And when I say utilize, it doesn't just mean working out. The organ in your body which uses the most sugar is in fact your brain. And so consuming more carbs and calories earlier in the day allows for better energy partitioning, utilizing that energy for use rather than storage, while excessive calorific energy intake later in the day, when you're done for the day, you're resting, you're bringing your feet up and watching Netflix or the news, that would promote more energy partitioning model, which would encourage more fat storage. So optimizing that does help. And in fact, there are studies which showed that having a heavier breakfast compared to a heavier dinner led to more weight loss, even where calories were matched. There's one more study I can cite in which early time restricted feeding or consuming calories earlier in the day, and this was a randomized controlled crossover trial in which clients were not allowed to lose weight. They had to maintain the same weight, and so their diet was adjusted according to that. Despite of that, those clients who completed their meals early and did not eat late saw less deposition of fat in the liver and less deposition of fat around the waistline. So even in a calorie balance, timing your calorie intake in line with your circadian hormones can have beneficial health effects by promoting more energy being diverted for muscle, for activities, and less energy being diverted towards storage. The other thing which improves insulin sensitivity is increasing your muscle mass, as well as making your muscles more efficient, improving the mitochondrial function of your muscles. Increasing muscle mass is achieved by resistance training. And I have a whole entire video on nutrition for growing muscles, the supplements you need, the protein intake you require, progressive overload, compound exercises. Do check out my exercise video for that. And the way you would make your muscles more efficient in utilizing energy by improving their mitochondrial density and function would be through cardio. More aerobic exercise, particularly certain forms like HIIT training, high intensity interval training, has been shown to increase the mitochondrial density and function of muscles. So when your muscles, which are the biggest sugar sink of your body, your muscles are what suck away the sugar from your bloodstream and then don't allow for sugar to stay in the bloodstream, which is essentially the diagnosis of prediabetes and diabetes. When you can increase the mass of muscles and increase the function of muscles, there will be less sugar in the bloodstream as a result of that. Apart from cortisol and insulin, there is one more hormone we should talk about, but this is specific to women. After menopause, women see a sharp decline in estrogen, and this is associated with not just increased risk of cardiovascular disease, but also increased propensity to metabolic disease because of increasing belly and visceral fat. Certainly, some clients may wish to consider consulting with a gynecologist, consider the pros and cons of menopause replacement therapy to see if that helps with the situation. And for those who do not wish to consider that option, or that option is not safe for them, because there are certain risks involved as well, I do have a blog on my website titled Menopause Supplements, in which they can find soy isoflavones, as well as soy protein extract proteins, etc., which can increase the amount of phytoestrogens or plant-based estrogen mimicking molecules they can consume. And these have been shown to have an effect on bone density and other parameters, reversing some of the effects of the loss of estrogen. For ladies who are perimenopausal or menopausal, considering the soy isoflavone and soy protein extract may help in reducing their tendency towards belly fat accumulation, as well as help them maintain their muscle mass along with resistance training, as we discussed earlier. So to summarize, the most important aspect of weight loss is and remains a calorific deficit. If on average you are in a deficit of 500 calories a day, which is about a meal, 3,500 calories over a week, that would, as per the law of thermodynamics, on average lead to 1 pound or half a kilogram of fat loss over a week. However, if you want to specifically target belly fat, then doing more crunches or sit-ups is not the way to do that. I mean, of course, there is benefit of exercise, don't get me wrong, but specifically targeting these hormones, stress hormone cortisol, fat storage hormone insulin, and the lack of hormones created by menopause will be the other most specific strategies to reduce belly fat. Cortisol, insulin, and lack of estrogen is a basic kind of overview that we've known for decades. There are more complex mechanisms in our body which we don't understand as well. These include our gut microbiome and the hormones that are produced as a result of a healthy gut microbiome. These include GLP-1, peptide YY, as well as other mechanisms involved in the creation of chronic inflammation, which can include the gut microbiome as well as other factors. I do have detailed videos on the gut microbiome as well as chronic inflammation. I would urge you to watch those. But generally speaking, a diet and lifestyle which promotes a healthy gut microbiome, increasing fiber, increasing fermented foods, reducing ultra-processed food, reducing saturated fats, reducing added refined sugars, reducing advanced glycation end products and advanced lipoxidation end products, which you find in high heat cooking and deep frying, reducing stress, improving sleep. All these things matter for improving the gut microbiome and reducing chronic inflammation. Do watch my detailed videos on those topics. But overall, these can then have an effect on other hormones, including our hunger hormone, ghrelin, and our satiety hormone, leptin, for instance. I run a group coaching program for weight loss and also maintaining weight loss. To my clinic rostered clients and to private clients, this is available virtually, and it is available in person to any clients who have OHIP coverage in Ontario. Referral is not required. It does not affect your own doctor's billing in any way because I use what's described as out-of-basket billing codes. So if you're interested, do visit my website, healthgroupcoaching.com, and I'll see you at the next video.